Hello everybody, welcome back. We are once again looking at the Pokemon Players Cup video game regional qualifiers for week 3. So far we are getting very close to the Players Cup finals. We are very close to finding out who we already know the top 4 is, but we're very close to being able to look at the top 4 from each region. Today we are back in North America. I believe the North America losers bracket, and this match is featuring Joseph Ugarte and Jonathan Evans. Both players, lots of accolades, very successful throughout their careers. Joseph more so coming up in 2019 and 2020, especially with some regional wins here and there. So I'm excited for this match, and let's go ahead and let's get right on into it. Oh! Bam. All right. Whoa, hold on. Loading for a little bit. All right, here we go. So, starting off, Jonathan Evans. We are watching from the side of Joseph Ugarte, and Jonathan sends out Cinderace and Incineroar. Joseph sending out Dragapult and Amoonguss. Now, this very much is kind of, if you wanted to take a snapshot of what Series 5 is and just kind of a microcosm of it, this right here, like this field, is perfect. Dragapult and Cinderace are the two fastest Pokemon that you will traditionally see. They are both really like to click that max airstream button or just put out a ton of damage. Incineroar here, Incineroar on Jonathan's side, a phenomenal Pokemon. Even though it doesn't do too much to lower Dragapult's stats, it can have moves like Darkest Lariat to really cause a lot of trouble. Then Amoonguss here, one of the premier redirectors of the format, very bulky Pokemon. It doesn't really like looking at these fire types though. But stuff like Rage Powder, Spore, very important moves that can cause Jonathan a lot of trouble. Now, if I'm Jonathan here, I think Cinderace likes this position quite a bit. Neither of Joseph's Pokemon can really put too much damage into it, and Cinderace often has something like a Max Darkness. So here we see Jonathan Dynamaxing. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cinderace go for Max Darkness or try to win the Speed War and do a Max Tailwind of its own. Dragapult is faster than Cinderace, unless Cinderace for some reason has a Choice Scarf. But even then, you know, that might not be the case. Now, we did see Cinderace Dynamax here. This probably leads us to believe Joseph won't be Dynamaxing. And as we see here, yeah, the Dragapult just goes ahead, takes his chance to set up. So this does give Jonathan kind of a free turn here. Cinderace is going to be doing a ton of damage to one of these Pokemon. And we see that Libero effect triggering. Now, Amoonguss doesn't like taking these max airstreams, but we see there that the Koba Berry will be triggering, having the damage on that, which is definitely going to be important, keeping that alive, most certainly. And staying alive with 42 hit points does quite a bit of damage. As we see there, Cinderace, even through the Koba Berry, just does so much. Here we see the speed boost come through. Incineroar now is going to get a shot. He's going to get to do something here. Darkest Lariat here, or a Flare Blitz. There we go. The Flare Blitz probably going into that Amoonguss, or actually it goes into the Dragapult even with the resist. Getting some damage in there is definitely important. Recoil does happen, but now this Amoonguss, there we go, gets the Spore off into the Cinderace. Jonathan there may be thinking that a Max Airstream there would be able to take down the Amoonguss even through a Berry, but it wasn't even quite close. And most of the time, Amoongusses are EV'd. That's one of those things that Amoongusses are kind of like, that's one of the key things that you have to survive going into this. Joseph's side now, Joseph does have the speed disadvantage. Dragapult is fast enough that it's likely still, and it uses Dragon Dance, so it is probably still outspeeding Incineroar. It's still outspeeding the Cinderace. But it's still going to be taking a ton of damage either way here. I think the Amoonguss, if it's not switching out, it's probably going down. Just sitting on the battlefield is going to be scary. Now, the Cinderace is asleep. Incineroar is kind of the only threat here, unless Cinderace miraculously wakes up. But Joseph definitely taking out a turn of the Dynamax from the Cinderace. Gives a good chance to switch in here. As we saw, the Togekiss comes in pretty much for free. And Dragapult now can get off a ton of damage while feeling relatively safe not going down. You imagine that if Jonathan had a Dark-type move, that's what he would have used going into the Dragapult. Potentially like Darkest Lariat or Lash Out, but we did not see either of those here. Max Phantasm coming out into the Cinderace, going to be doing a huge chunk. Cinderace just about goes down here. And now we'll see if it wakes up. The defense does fall. That's probably not going to matter too much. It is very weak at this point. Dragapult loses some hit points. Cinderace is still fast asleep. That is going to be huge. So now Incineroar, we'll see what happens here. Burning Jealousy comes out, but thanks to Max Phantasm dropping the opposing stats, it does not get a burn on either Dragapult or Togekiss, which could have been huge. Joseph definitely could have gone for something like a Max Wormwind or a Max Airstream, and that burn would have played such a huge role in these upcoming turns with the Dragapult Dynamaxing. But if I'm Joseph here, you could very likely try to take down the Cinderace, although, heck, even just a Dazzling Gleam here from Togekiss might be able to take it out if you max Airstream with the Dragapult. And Incineroar is definitely in range to get taken down from an Airstream and a Dazzling Gleam if this Togekiss is an offensive set. Instead, though, we see Joseph going for the Max Phantasm in the Cinderace, just getting it off the battlefield as fast as possible, not wanting to give it a chance to wake up. And we'll see what this Togekiss does. We didn't see any redirection coming out, so I imagine it's going to be clicking Dazzling Gleam just in case. This Incineroar, though, once again, we see 2 Fire-type moves. It likely has Fake Out and probably something like Parting Shot. So it is going to be struggling to do damage to this Dragapult. Dazzling Gleam comes out, takes it down to below half. The critical hit does come out. Potentially a Scope Lens Togekiss here, and Incineroar eats its Citrus Berry to restore its health to a reasonable amount. And we'll see if we see another Burning Jealousy. I wouldn't be surprised here, but Parting Shot does in fact come out, weakening this Togekiss. Kind of Jonathan's best option here to get this Incineroar out, bring it back in a little bit later. Try to get some Fake Out support once this Dragapult goes down. But if you're Jonathan right now, your number 1 priority is taking down this Dragapult. Now, we do see Milotic come in, which is definitely a good Pokemon against, well, really both of these. Milotic can learn Ice Beam, but also it can know Icy Wind. And Icy Wind dropping stats here would definitely be pretty big. And Incineroar coming back out now, this is a pretty smart play from Jonathan. Of course, the Intimidate doesn't do anything with Dragapult's Clear Body, but it will let Jonathan use Fake Out on the Togekiss, keep it from using something like Dazzling Gleam, keep it from getting a crit on the Milotic, and most importantly, it will keep it from potentially getting a flinch on the Milotic. I could definitely, we likely don't see Coil on this Milotic right here. That was definitely a set that was used far earlier in the series and VGC 2020. Just boosting it so much, and making Hypnosis pretty much 100% accurate. But we see Jonathan here actually switching out the Incineroar again, just right off the bat. Rillaboom comes in with the Grassy Surge, and this definitely puts it in danger of a max Airstream. Milotic, though, it looks like it actually has a Grassy Seed, raising its defense. That is going to be pretty big here. The Max Phantasm comes out into the Milotic. It's not going to be doing a ton. Well, it does quite a bit. Even with that Grassy Seed defense boost, Milotic goes well below half health, and now the defense boost comes in, competitive comes out, special attack rises sharply. This Dragapult isn't going to like to take it if this is potentially an Ice Beam. Dazzling Gleam comes out from Togekiss here. Milotic almost goes down with another critical hit. And Milotic uses Recover here. Looks like Jonathan is just trying to stall out this Dynamax for as long as possible, make sure Milotic survives. Rillaboom is out now, so it can Fake Out into the Togekiss, and Dragapult's Dynamax is out. For Joseph here, Dragapult, it still has the boosts from Dragon Dance, which are definitely going to be big. If I'm Jonathan, I'm not super threatened by this board state. We know that Milotic is really the only thing that can probably realistically deal with the Dragapult, although Rillaboom is certainly a very strong Pokemon in its own right. Even though something like Knockoff, that's going to be scary. A Grassy Glide here will even do a good amount of damage. But now there are defense drops on both sides. Dragapult is going to be faster than both these Pokemon. It likely will be surviving a Grassy Glide, and Dragon Darts here is not going to be something that either of these Pokemon want to take. Togekiss, of course, I think just continuing to click Dazzling Gleam isn't a bad option, but an Air Slash on Rillaboom would be big. But of course, the Fake Out does come out. Togekiss puts a lot of pressure on Rillaboom. Rillaboom can't really answer it, and here we see the Dragon Darts coming out. Hits Milotic, does a ton of damage, and hits the Rillaboom and brings it almost down equal to Milotic. Dragapult losing health from that Life Orb continuously. Milotic using that Recover though, but there's a solid chance that it will just go down to 2 Dragon Darts if this Rillaboom falls. Grassy Terrain offsetting the Life Orb damage from the Dragapult, and if it was below half health, I might be inclined to say it's in Grassy Glide range, but I have a suspicion that is not quite the case here. The defense drop from Max Phantasm plus the Dragon Dance boost is coming in so clutch for Joseph here, because both of Jonathan's Pokemon are just so threatened by this Dragapult right now. And what Jonathan could do to try to get rid of the defense drops is bring in the Incineroar, as we see here. Takes away the defense drop from the Rillaboom. It's not going to be coming back, but again, this Togekiss now is at least -2, maybe I think it's a -3 now, but this Dragapult just doesn't care. kind of shows you just why Dragapult was such a good Pokemon, one of the premier Pokemon in this series. Melodic takes a lot of damage, and Incineroar handles it a little bit better than the Rillaboom, but once again, I think both these Pokemon are within range of Dragon Darts. Dazzling Gleam comes out, Incineroar just about goes down with another critical hit. Melodic manages to survive. The Muddy Water comes out. This could be big. That special attack raising sharply. It does a lot of damage, but it doesn't take anybody out here, and it doesn't look like there were any accuracy drops. Grassy Terrain once again healing up that Dragapult. I think almost certainly this Grassy Terrain has offset so much of the damage that Jonathan would have been able to hold on to for this game. And we don't even know what Joseph's 4th Pokemon is. And Jonathan just says, you know what? That's it for game 1. I've seen enough. This Dragapult is too scary, too boosted. Melodic did not do enough damage on that Muddy Water to make Jonathan feel comfortable there, which is absolutely understandable. You imagine that if there was an Icy Wind on the Melodic there, it would have been used. It would have been super effective on both Pokemon. Heck, even an Ice Beam there could have been big. But all of Jonathan's Pokemon were in yellow. None of them were going to survive a single Dragon Darts from Joseph. And one thing that I think was very, very interesting was that Jonathan didn't use the move Protect one time. We know Incineroar's whole moveset: Parting Shot, Fake Out, Burning Jealousy, Flare Blitz, no Protect there. Melodic, we saw Recover and Muddy Water, but didn't see anything else. Normally, you can expect Protect on Melodic, but we just didn't see it come out at all. And the Rillaboom, potentially an Assault Vest Rillaboom, Cinderace, likely, most definitely a Life Orb, and you almost never see Protect there. So that was definitely a position where Jonathan couldn't really try to bring in a switch on a potential read of using a Protect, and even if Jonathan did, that Dragapult's Dragon Darts would just double target into the other slot. That was definitely a very, very hard position to try to work his way out of, and Jonathan said, you know what, let's go into the next game, let's figure out what's going to happen there. That Spore from the Amoonguss was so huge. If Jonathan had targeted the Amoonguss with the Flare Blitz from the Incineroar on that first game, that could have changed so much. Cinderace would have had all 3 turns of effective Dynamax. We could have seen something like Max Darkness come out of it. It could have, Cinderace, known for Max Airstream, Max Darkness, Max Steel Spike, and then a 4th tech move, High Jump Kick or Pyro Ball. But Jonathan is going to have to adapt most certainly here. Let's see what happens. So Cinderace and Tyranitar come out here. If I'm Joseph, I think I just kind of go with a similar play. Yeah, exactly. You go with the exact same 2. You know Amoonguss doesn't go down to a max Airstream, and Cinderace was the most threatening Pokemon for Amoonguss on Jonathan's side. Here we see, though, Sand does come up. And Tyranitar is probably the best counter to Dragapult in this meta. A Lash Out here would be absolutely huge. Definitely pushes Joseph away from using a Max Phantasm, and Tyranitar tanks Dragapult's hits like an absolute champ and hits it for super effective damage, likely taking it out. Cinderace, still a massive threat here, going to be doing a ton of damage. We know the Amoonguss isn't going to die, but a Rock Slide from Tyranitar has a good chance of taking it out, unless Joseph brings in, and here we see the Incineroar bring in for the Intimidate, going to weaken the Cinderace. Last time there was not an Intimidate on the Cinderace. This Amoonguss is certainly going to survive now, but Tyranitar's Lash Out, if it wants to go for it, is going to be doing a ton of damage. We'll see which Pokemon Jonathan Dynamaxes here. It is very rare to see Cinderace not Dynamaxing. Tyranitar works just fine without the Dynamax. Uses a move like Rock Slide and especially Lash Out. Lash Out does not get as much of a boost from Dynamax as just getting the attack drop. Here we see things are moving slowly but surely, dropping those frames. And here we see the Max Airstream coming on out. Coberry eaten by the Amoonguss. This is definitely going to be tanked much better than that first one. And there we go, taking just a little over half. And now once again, this Amoonguss is in prime position to just Spore. Tyranitar speed rising. It's going to be doing quite a bit of damage here. A Rock Slide, once again, a Rock Slide could be huge here. It's going to do a lot of damage to the Incineroar. Of course, it's going to be limited from the Lash Out and doesn't quite take out the Amoonguss here. If there hadn't been an Intimidate, that would have been big. Cinderace once again taking a snooze. If I'm Joseph, I'm still in a relative... I feel like I'm in... if I had to pick whose position I would be in here, I think I would be picking Jonathan still. I think I'm perfectly fine with a Tyranitar soloing Joseph's team, because right now Joseph is showing, hey, so far I've brought 3 of the same Pokemon from last time. Or well, actually, we didn't see the 4th Pokemon from Joseph, if I remember correctly. So far, Joseph showed, hey, I led with the same 2 Pokemon. I have a Fire type that's weak to your Tyranitar. Normally, if you bring Dragon Ball, you probably bring Togekiss. And I would not be surprised, like if I'm Jonathan here, like, okay, what are you doing that's threatening my Tyranitar? Of course, we do see the fake out here. Amoonguss though, Giga Drain could be an option. I wouldn't be surprised if it had Sludge Bomb though. Tyranitar flinches and Amoonguss goes for the Spore into the Tyranitar and it hits. I think this just kind of goes again. I think this was a place where Jonathan could have certainly protected if he simply had the move. I think that's probably like the most obvious thing to do. This Amoonguss is so close to going down, but now like that just definitely makes me wonder, like, if Jonathan doesn't have Protect, then like I almost like, do you have to swap in Rillaboom there just to try to take the Spore? Then you fake out into the Incineroar slot or something, or you try to fake out the Amoonguss, just try to take it down, give Tyranitar space to really be able to take out the rest of Joseph's team, because really I think that is going to be the carry here. However, Cinderace, there we go, the Wake Up does come out, Steel Spike comes through. If that's into the Togekiss slot, that could be big. But of course, this time, as I was saying, this time Cinderace is still alive. Togekiss just goes down after that switch. Definitely an important Wake Up here. Joseph, of course, still hasn't Dynamax, but now Cinderace is alive. Togekiss is dead. It's not going to be getting any crits off here. And once Tyranitar wakes up, Incineroar is not going to be doing a ton to it one way or another. We'll see what happens with the Incineroar here. Parting Shot comes out, weakening the Cinderace yet again. Jonathan, though, has an option to switch out Cinderace on this next turn now that Dynamax is out. Just get Cinderace out of there, get the stat drops off of it, bring it back in for Sucker Punches against this Dragon Ball later in the game. And kind of keep your offensive pressures, try to keep them swapped out. And if I'm Jonathan, I think I just wait until this Tyranitar wakes up. It's a bulky Pokemon, it can deal with a lot, and I don't think Dragon Ball is necessarily going to be killing it right now, even if it does use a max move. Unless Jonathan has gone for the max attack, max speed, absolutely zero bulk. And here we see that Incineroar coming in again, showing us just how important and kind of oppressive of a Pokemon it is if you do not have a special attacker. And Jonathan hasn't shown a special attacker, at least thus far outside of Melodic. Of course, Melodic does handily deal with Incineroar, but that's if it can survive. That's if it can survive a Dragon Ball. Now for Joseph, you can't really bring a Amoonguss in here. Of course, Tyranitar is already asleep. Cinderace could just use Sucker Punch, knock it out. And even if Cinderace does go to sleep, the Amoonguss is KO'd. Or, well, actually not quite. Amoonguss likely has Regenerator. Could be huge here. Fake Out comes out into the Tyranitar. Doesn't even want to take the chance of it waking up. And Iron Head comes out of Cinderace into the Dragapult, maybe hoping for a flinch. This definitely kind of at least reveals to us some of Jonathan's moves. It seems like Jonathan has kind of said, you know what, I don't need any Protects here. I don't need Sucker Punch on Cinderace because I have the Dark type in Tyranitar. We can kind of parse out there that... But then again, at the same time, I think I'm surprised that we didn't see a max fire out of Cinderace into the Amoonguss slot on that first turn, if Jonathan knew about the berry. So I'm definitely interested to see what Jonathan's movesets are here. We're not seeing any Protects. Maybe Jonathan is kind of taking a very aggressive approach, assuming Joseph is going to be trying to use some Protects of his own, stall out some stuff, and just going for very, very offensive here. Now, good thing though, Joseph is still swapping. Good thing for Joseph is that both of these Pokemon are at like at least -2. I believe the Cinderace is now at -3, and that kind of forces Jonathan to switch out because it's just not going to be doing any damage here. Melodic comes out, potentially a Parting Shot from the Incineroar into that slot, making sure it doesn't do any damage. But the Incineroar actually just switches out. Dragapult, we saw it got that Dragon Dance off, and now it's in that same prime position as before to Dynamax and just start tearing through Jonathan's team. Now, once again, Tyranitar, bulky Pokemon, has taken one Fake Out. Lash Out here could be huge, but now it's taken 2 Intimidates. Another attack drop from Max Phantasm is just going to put its attack stat in the gutter. And Dragapult still relatively healthy, and these 3 turns of Dynamax are going to be hard for Jonathan to get through. Melodic, of course, can use that competitive ability, raising its special attack stat, but it has to survive these attacks coming out of Joseph. Max Phantasm into the Tyranitar, resisted, Tyranitar survives. but these attack drops are going to be pretty big here. If Tyranitar wakes up, uses a Lash Out, it's still going to do a decent amount of damage since the power of the attack will double. But there we see the Wake Up come out, and we only see the Rock Slide. This time Amoonguss takes far less damage. The Sand goes out. This is a great time for Jonathan to switch out the Tyranitar. Heck, I might have even done it on that previous turn, even if Tyranitar wasn't awake. But switch Tyranitar out potentially into that 4th Pokemon. Try to bring Tyranitar in after the Dynamax is out, and just try to let it sweep. But this Melodic here is relatively healthy. It's in a decent position. It could certainly use Recover, but Amoonguss using Spore on it would not be great. Rage Powder, though, is definitely an option. This Tyranitar is scary. That is just kind of the big thing here. Even at -2, if I am a Dragapult, I am scared of this Tyranitar if I can't take it out. And here we see the Max Phantasm into the Melodic. And Melodic looks like it survives on just a sliver of health. Defense falls, competitive boosts its stats even more. Melodic is at +4. Whatever is coming out here is going to be doing a good amount of damage. Tyranitar's defense falls again. Rock Slide comes out. Dragapult avoids the attack, and Amoonguss avoids the attack. Double miss. That is huge. Ice Beam comes out of Melodic into the Amoonguss slot. That Rage Powder coming in clutch. There aren't going to be any fake outs on this Dragapult. And it is a speedy, speedy Pokemon. And now Incineroar can actually just come in, fake out the Melodic, and take it out. That Rage Powder is definitely huge. A +4 Ice Beam would be so big. And now this Melodic is even at +6. But, once again, Dragapult, it just might be too much of a threat here. We don't know Jonathan's 4th Pokemon. This is going to be Jonathan's 3rd turn of Dynamaxing. I think you just kind of have to take out the Tyranitar, fake out the Melodic. Jonathan could of course switch, but if Tyranitar goes out and Melodic goes out, at some point Melodic is going to die, and both of the Pokemon on Joseph's side are faster than it. And even without the fake out, that Melodic is going to be in a very, very tough spot no matter what happens. And if you switch out, you lose your competitive boost. Oh man, it's hard. I think if I'm Jonathan, I swap out the Tyranitar, or maybe just let it die, and I protect on the Melodic, and then I bring in, if Jonathan has a Redirector, that would be huge here. But once again, we don't see a Protect come out. We see the fake out go into the Melodic, take it down, no longer a +6 Ice Beam threat. That is definitely interesting that we didn't see Ice Beam in the last turn of the previous game. Taking out the Dragapult, kind of a key priority there. But we saw it come out this game. It just wasn't quite, that redirection there was key. Now Jonathan's bringing out his last 2 Pokemon, and it's a 2v2 for this game here. Absolutely winnable from Jonathan. The Dragapult is now no longer Dynamax. Cinderace is no longer going to be, no more attack drops from the Cinderace, and now Jonathan comes in, bringing his own Incineroar, gets another Intimidate off. 2 relatively healthy Pokemon against 2 relatively weak Pokemon. Both, I believe, are below half health. No grassy terrain to restore anything this time. Cinderace could just use Sucker Punch. I wouldn't be surprised to see a fake out from Jonathan into Joseph's Incineroar. Would kind of make the most sense here. And we could see some Protects come out here, try to keep away the chip damage from fake outs, scout out what the Cinderace is trying to do. It's going to be very, and maybe even get it to change its type to something that Joseph can hit with Dragapult and do a good chunk of damage. There we see the fake out, kind of obvious here. Sucker Punch comes out. We'll see if it's targeting the Dragapult or the Incineroar. I would target the Dragapult here. Dragapult goes down. Looks like we're going to a game 3. And this will be pretty big. We'll see if Joseph continues to play after this, but it's going to be nigh impossible for Joseph to surmount this type of lead. And that is a pretty much locked up game, or that's locked up for game 3 in the losers bracket round 12 elimination match. So that was definitely a much closer game. It looked like it was going to kind of be similar to that first game, but there were some kind of smart switches that Tyranitar definitely put on. That Tyranitar just put on so much pressure for Joseph's team, threatening the Dragapult, threatening the Incineroar, and we've seen it a lot in these matches, bringing Incineroar in and out, using parting shots, trying to lower those physical attackers' attack stats. So that's kind of what the scariest Pokemon that we have. Special attackers like Primarina, Lapras, very pushed out by Rillaboom, both bulky water types, even Rotom Wash. And Dragapult here, stuff like Dragapult, Cinderace, physical attackers like doing a ton of damage, Tyranitar like doing a ton of damage. Dragapult isn't really affected by the Incineroar as much, but Incineroar is bulky. It can take hits from Dragon Darts, it can take hits from Max Phantasm. It's a phenomenal Pokemon against really the best Pokemon in the meta right now. And Fake Outs across the board, it's absolutely phenomenal. And we're gonna have to see. Jonathan is still definitely going for very, very aggressive, very offensive. We haven't seen a single Protect out of Jonathan this entire match. I don't think we've seen one out of Joseph either, but Joseph has really had to use that Intimidate, swapping in and out. And I think if Jonathan ever gets on the defensive back foot, he's going to be in a bad spot because he doesn't get the chance to protect. He doesn't get the chance to try to make a safe switch, call an attack into something like, say, the Tyranitar here, and bring in something safe like the Cinderace. So we'll see what happens in this next game. I liked Jonathan's lead. I actually liked both leads very much, but I think Joseph is going to have to bring something a little bit different in the back. What Jonathan brought in the back, I think, was smart. I think bringing the Incineroar was fine. I wouldn't mind seeing something like a Rillaboom, though, because it does have moves like Knockoff. It does have Fake Out pressure, just like the Incineroar does. And Dragapult doesn't really care about the Intimidates. So let's see what comes in on this next game. And Jonathan changing it up again. Cinderace and Milotic off the bat, probably reading that Joseph tries to bring in Incineroar right away, but instead it is Togekiss Excadrill. And this is a very threatening lead from Joseph. Very often, it can absolutely do a ton of damage, and Togekiss, of course, can just Dazzling, can just Air Slash. It does have the threat of Helping Hand, but Jonathan will know whether or not it has that. Also, stuff like Follow Me, making sure the Cinderace can't hit the Excadrill, and Excadrill can just start clicking Earthquake, or Earthquake, Rock Slide, Iron Head, any of those that it wants. Of course, it's not going to like to take a high jump kick, and it's most definitely not going to like to take a Muddy Water. But if he just keeps clicking Earthquake, it is going to be doing a ton of damage. And of course, Excadrill can Dynamax. It can be doing a ton of damage here. Likely, if it has something like a Focus Sash, it can even use Swords Dance. Swords Dance boosting the attack stat by 2. It just has to survive potentially 2 hits from Jonathan. Here we see Joseph, though, saying, all right, I think you're going to either double target into this slot or only do one actual attack here. And I'm not going to have to use my redirection. Incineroar, though, coming out, getting off an Intimidate. Joseph could be doing a ton of damage here, but it's most certainly limited. Cinderace can, of course, go for a Max Airstream, in which case a Rock Slide would potentially be better, or an Earthquake could certainly come out and would still deal a lot of damage to the Incineroar, but we know Cinderace is very, very likely faster than Excadrill. Jolly Cinderace, kind of the most common thing we see. It does so much damage, especially in Dynamax, that it's perfectly fine. But Cinderace is actually going for a Max Steel Spike. Jonathan was anticipating the Follow Me, kind of expecting it. The Amoonguss will take this like a champ here. Doesn't even go into the red, but now it's in range of Flare Blitz, and it's in the range of Max Airstream. Cinderace, though, we see here is faster than the Excadrill. Excadrill does get the chance to use Swords Dance after the Intimidate. It's now it's going to be at +1, which is going to be relatively important. And now Amoonguss gets the chance to Rage Powder. And I think Excadrill is almost certainly faster than the Incineroar. But I think since we saw that Swords Dance on Excadrill, I think that's pretty indicative of something like a Focus Sash. Normally, if you are trying to set up there, you want to at least have Excadrill survive on one hit point, so you can get off a big Rock Slide, or you can get off a big Earthquake or High Horsepower. Just do a ton of damage, even if you do only have that 1 hit point left. But the main thing here for Joseph is that if Jonathan uses Max Airstream into that Amoonguss, either reading the Rage Powder or just thinking, hey, it's going to happen, it's going to do a ton of damage and it's going to hurt. Incineroar instead comes out, gets an Intimidate off. Maybe this means Excadrill will be able to survive 2 attacks here. If Cinderace does go for a Max Airstream into the Incineroar slot, I'm fairly confident that Excadrill survives at Flare Blitz. Again, it either... Oh, and here we see the first Protect here coming out of Joseph. Joseph definitely kind of reading that, hey, this Excadrill is in trouble. I don't want it to die. It needs to be, it's kind of going to be our carry threat here instead of Dragapult. Incineroar there, taking a good chunk of damage, but it survives relatively handily. Intimidate coming in pretty clutch. But now that speed boost is on Jonathan's side and in Jonathan's favor. Jonathan using that parting shot, not getting it off because of the Protect here. And that's the first Protect we have seen this entire series, which is definitely interesting. I liked the play. It definitely made sure that Excadrill was still a threat, but and Excadrill doesn't have any damage on it right now. But the thing is Jonathan's Pokemon are both faster. Cinderace, all we've seen out of it is Max Airstream, indicative of Bounce, Sucker Punch, and Iron Head. We don't know if it has High Jump Kick. We don't know if it has Pyro Ball, but Joseph does. And I think the indication there that I think the indication there that Joseph kind of ceded to Jonathan was that there is a Max Knuckle. There we see, exactly. That is going to be super effective into this Excadrill, or even now into this Incineroar. And this attack boost, going to be pretty big. Takes out the Incineroar handily, even through an Intimidate. No chance for a Parting Shot or a Burning Jealousy out of this Incineroar. And now Excadrill is kind of in a dangerous position here. Jonathan's Incineroar, we know it has Flare Blitz. It's going to do a good chunk of damage if it wants to hit that. Excadrill's just going for another Swords Dance, setting up in Jonathan's face. Maybe Jonathan goes for another Parting Shot, but if I'm him, I think I go for Burning Jealousy or a Flare Blitz. Parting Shot, though, comes on out. Excadrill is, now it's at now it is only at +2, kind of a normal Swords Dance after a Swords Dance Protect and Swords Dance. And this Cinderace is out of Dynamax turns, I believe, which kind of means this Excadrill has some free reign to go about its business if Joseph wants to bring in a Redirector. But now this Melodic is in. Excadrill doesn't really like to see it. It can't really do too much damage to Melodic. Melodic is very bulky, but Excadrill is at +2. It does have Iron Head, which Melodic does not resist, which can definitely help a little bit. Or, well, I assume the Excadrill has Iron Head. It is rare that we see it without it. So Jonathan, all out of Dynamax. Joseph does have the Dynamax here. Dynamax Excadrill would be scary. It would boost defense and special defense stats, both of which I think are things Joseph wants to have boosted. But of course, we do know that Joseph Togekiss is offensive. It could start putting out damage. I think it's pretty safe to assume that the Amoonguss in the back isn't going to be doing anything. But this is definitely a very interesting team to bring from Joseph. Previously, we had the Dragapult, and it kind of is. It feels like it's a more versatile champion that matches up better against Cinderace than the Excadrill does. Of course, the Sucker Punches are hard to deal with, but that's kind of why you have Incineroar. That's why you have Togekiss. And Joseph's team is very much centered around supporting one main attacker. In this case, it was the Excadrill. Previous games, it was the Dragapult. Here we see Togekiss, though, Dynamaxing on Joseph's side. This gives Joseph an opportunity to start max Airstreaming and make sure that this Excadrill is faster than whatever Jonathan has. And but we did see the Incineroar come in. Excadrill, once again, only at +1. Uses Protect, though. Wanting to stay as safe as possible. Cinderace using the Iron Head. Jonathan, this time, reading the Protects kind of properly this time. Not taking any unnecessary damage from Pokemon that aren't protecting on Joseph's side. Togekiss, though, getting a max Airstream off into the Cinderace. Does a lot of damage, but doesn't quite take it out. And now there's a speed boost on both sides of the equation. Except Excadrill still probably isn't faster than the Cinderace, thanks to a max Airstream on Jonathan's side. And of course, now this Incineroar is in play. It can use Fake Out. It is definitely going to be in a rough spot. And this Excadrill is certainly threatened. The Incineroar doesn't have the speed boost, as we said, but it can use Fake Out, and the Cinderace can just go for a high jump kick. Almost at close combat. But it could go for a high jump kick into the Excadrill. If it hits, that is going to be bad news. And here we see the Excadrill switching out, even though all it's done is click Swords Dance and Protect. It's still at full health, which is the important thing. Amoonguss comes in here. That Regenerator ability, healing it quite a bit. High Jump Kick here does come out. Hits the Amoonguss, brings it down into the red, scarily enough. We actually didn't see a Fake Out from Jonathan. We see the max Airstream from Joseph into the Incineroar. Brings it down to almost half, but that Incineroar is feeling perfectly fine here. And now this Togekiss is very speedy, putting a lot of pressure, and now it's putting a lot of pressure on Jonathan. Even with that special attack drop, simply the speed and the critical hit boosts on this Togekiss are pretty big. Critical hits, not caring about stat drops or stat boosts, at least on the opposing side, are definitely going to be is definitely going to be a big thing here if Joseph can keep hitting those. And Exegil, of course, is still in the back, still threatening, but it's going to come in. It's going to be hard to Swords Dance in the face of what Jonathan has. Even if they all are relatively weak, Joseph's Pokemon have taken quite a beating, except for that Excadrill, and the Excadrill doesn't have any speed boosts right now, which is kind of worrying if you can't take down, at the very least, the Cinderace. This Melodic keeps coming in. I think Jonathan is trying to bait out a stat drop so that Melodic can get that special attack boost, or at the very least, Melodic can tank a hit, try to, once again, just trying to bait in attacks to the Melodic, or it simply just might be the Pokemon that he wants to pivot around, bring the Incineroar in, and it's definitely kind of assumed that Jonathan would bring it, and we don't know what the fourth Pokemon is yet again. Helping Hand comes out. The Cinderace is going to be doing a lot of damage, but Togekiss, I believe, should be moving faster. We've only seen the one Max Airstream. Amoonguss using the Rage Powder, just making sure if it's going down, it is going down swinging. Max Airstream comes out of the Togekiss. We'll see who it's into. It's into the Melodic. Does a good chunk of damage. The Cinderace, it's very, very low. It could very well be going down to the Life Orb recoil. And now this Togekiss is just absolutely zooming. It's at +3 speed, but Cinderace gets that Iron Head off, but it unfortunately goes into the Amoonguss there. Helping Hand ensuring the KO, even if it wasn't going to quite get it in the first place. And the Cinderace does go down. And now it's a Togekiss and an Excadrill up against a Melodic and Incineroar and something else. Now, if I'm Joseph, if the Incineroar doesn't come in right away, I think I Swords Dance. If it does come in right away, I think you protect. I think that's kind of the give and take that you have there. And Togekiss now, it's going to be very, very fast. It's going to be able to start using Dazzling Gleams. Here we see, once again, the Incineroar does come in, and here comes the Excadrill. So Intimidate does come off here. Togekiss isn't -1 special attack. That is something to consider, and this Incineroar can start getting off parting shots. If Jonathan reads, hey, this Excadrill might be going for the Swords Dance, then I will just fake out into the Togekiss. Of course, Togekiss could just follow me here, redirect the important stuff, but we know that the Melodic has Muddy Water, which is going to be super effective on the Excadrill. It's going to do some relatively strong damage. If I'm Joseph, I don't think I want to click Swords Dance, because Swords Dance takes time to set up, and this Incineroar is only going to be, is just going to keep offsetting it with Intimidates, with parting shots. It's not going to be a fun time. Follow Me Earthquake is super threatening. You might not kill the Melodic thanks to the Intimidate and the double targeting, but you're gonna do a lot to it, and I wouldn't be surprised if you take out the Incineroar just straight up. Here we see Jonathan doesn't go for the fake out. Melodic goes, almost goes down to the Air Slash, and Excadrill uses Earthquake. Melodic is gonna go down here, and I think this Incineroar might even too with the Intimidate. Yeah, that is definitely an interesting call by Jonathan. No fake out. Maybe trying to go for the parting shot here, maybe anticipating the Swords Dance that Joseph was really trying to get out in the first place. But now Jonathan is down to one Pokemon. Didn't take the safe play of going for the fake out. Tried to go big and it didn't quite work out. Togekiss Dazzling Gleam there. I do think it was kind of the tension there between, like, was Togekiss going to use Follow Me? Was it not going to use Follow Me? And here we see the Tyranitar. Now, Tyranitar is perfectly fine going up against a Togekiss, even if it is boosted super hard by speed, but it does not like going up against an Excadrill. And we didn't see a Mold Breaker coming out of Joseph, so there's a good chance that Jonathan's Tyranitar, this might be why Jonathan didn't show this Tyranitar, because now this Excadrill just gets a speed boost. I have a feeling, at the very least, since we didn't see any Mold Breaker, although maybe that doesn't show. And Excadrill actually, Joseph just saying, you know what, I'm going to ensure that I KO this thing as soon as I hit it. Goes for the Swords Dance, Rock Slide comes out. It's going to do a lot of damage to Togekiss, might even take it out, which it does, but it doesn't do a ton to Excadrill. And unless Jonathan wants to start trying to go for superpowers here, Excadrill is going to be perfectly fine clicking Earthquake, even just clicking Iron Head. And is going to do a ton of damage to this Tyranitar. And that just might be the game unless Jonathan can hit an Earthquake, or unless Jonathan can survive this Earthquake some way, somehow. And no, it does not happen. Joseph Ugarte taking game number 3 and taking the match. So there we have it. That was a pretty back and forth series. 3 games. Absolutely. Joseph definitely played that super smartly. Changing up the leads in that 3rd game was huge. Said, all right, you know that I'm playing Dragapult. You're expecting that that's what I'm bringing. I'm going to change it up, bring in the Excadrill. You had the Tyranitar. And if my Excadrill has Sandstream, then I'm going to just be absolutely demolishing your Tyranitar, and you're not even going to be able to bring it in. If you do lead with it right away, I can just click Earthquake. I'm going to be faster than both of your Pokemon. It's going to be super effective. And there we go. And I do think, once again, it was interesting. We didn't see a single Protect out of Jonathan, and in many instances in which in that a Protect would have been so pivotal and so huge. Jonathan absolutely making very aggressive calls, trying to stay 2 or 3 steps ahead of Joseph, not using the Fake Out on that turn against the Excadrill on kind of that second to last turn, not even using it on the Togekiss. Just saying, nope, I'm not even gonna fall for it. You're gonna use the Follow Me. I'm gonna have to try to use something else. But like we said, we didn't even see the Protects coming out. Big matchup there. I'm excited. Jonathan is now out of the tournament. Joseph moves on. It's gonna be interesting to see what all happens in the next one. We saw the power of kind of the hyper offensive teams, but if you don't have Protect, it's not gonna go too well. Thank you all so much for watching. See you in the next one. Farewell.